Picture of all of the people with hats on, and even John. I understand you came with a hat, so you can get in on the picture with all the gals. So, well, if Orville, unless Betty's willing to give Orville his hat, he won't be able to be on. Tri-County Community Corporation, and he has more one-liners than anybody I know. He is great. And that's why I enjoy that group so much. We have so much fun, as well as do a lot of good. I'm just going to mention a couple of things that refer to what some people have said. Instead of, I was going to go through the story that I have about when I was remodeling a house, and remember when I took off the plaster and what I found inside the walls? How many have never heard that? Never heard it? Okay, I'm going to have to do that then, just for the, it's kind of gruesome though, you might not want to hear it, but maybe we'll see what happens there. Okay, the bra picture that Jackie talked about, or the bra scene rather, is on those pictures that I don't know how they all got here, but they were here when I came, and I haven't seen a lot of those for a long time. But it's on the top left-hand side, and it's just a napkin trick, and I used to do it real often. And we were at this place, as she said, $50 dinner, and very, very nice place. And I was working on this thing, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm trying to develop this trick, and there's something wrong with it. And she was exactly right. I stood up, I said, I got it. And then I had a model for pictures, but they weren't that alert that they had that camera ready to take what I got. They talked about starting. I came in 1954. And my salary was $3,000. 2 years before that, I left Fort Howard at $4,400. Went to school for 2 years and then took a job for $3,000. And I was the second highest paid out of my graduating class that year. The following year, got a big raise, went to $3,200. The year after that, $3,400. And the year after that, Mr. Joseph, we had no contract, no salary schedules at that time. You had to just, you got paid what you were worth, yeah. And I was offered $3,600. Well, I quit. And I went to walk on as a teacher. And then I renegotiated with Mr. Joseph, and I said, well, you could at least pay me $3,750. And he said, oh, not another $150, no way. And so at the time I was teaching Phi Ed during my 3 periods, the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I was also coaching grade school basketball. And I said, well, how about on the contract if you wrote $75 for each of those 2 things? And he agreed to that. And so I stayed in Pulaski, and that was the last year I quit. I guess that's kind of true about referees. Unlike Will Rogers, I never met a referee I liked. And the names, I don't think that would have been so tough to work with ease. I jotted a couple down, as you mentioned. Russ would have been Eldred. Becky would have been Eunice. Poor Rob, you would have been Emil Jr., I'll bet. That's as far as I got. Just Elmer, you know. Eunice, as you mentioned, and a few others. Well, I was a junior for a long time. Right through high school, I wrote my name Junior, Junior. And to this day, we go back to Casco. Well, recently it hasn't happened, but many times someone will see us in Green Bay, like a classmate, someone on the street would see me, 62 years old, and say, hey, Junior! Do they still say that? That's only after they've had a drink. A lot of people ask what you're going to do when you retire. And, well, we've got lots of plans and lots of things to do, and I'm just in the process of finishing a deck, which I started about 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago. And so I'll be done with it this week. But one of the things that people who know us say, are you going to remodel another house? those of you that heard it before, please. And I said, well, we sort of given all the extra materials that we had away, and I don't think so because of the experience we had with the last house. We remodeled a house that Noah had lived in for about 4 years in Angelica, and the cats broke the windows, cats in there. You know what cats do when they can get into a house when they're not house trained. Turned out real well. Then we bought one in Sobieski and remodeled that one. And then we bought a old house in Pulaski on First Avenue and started remodeling that one. And these houses, of course, because they're old, they have no insulation in them. So you have to take, either insulate from the outside or else remove everything from the inside and get insulation into the walls, rip all the plaster off and such. Well, this house in Pulaski was stucco on the outside, so didn't want to change that. It was in good shape. Basically, just needed paint and a few patch-ups. So naturally, to start on the inside. And most of them have plaster, and so you have to rip all the plaster off, all the lats, until you get down to the outside wall between the studs. Well, I'm knocking, LaVerne was working at Pulaski State Bank at the time, and I'm working there alone. The other two houses, some of the kids helped us. I'm knocking the plaster off, starting from the top, and going down, and all of a sudden I look, and there's about this much showing at the time, and here's a skeleton on face, eye to eye with. Holy God, what do I do now? Well, I knocked the rest of it off, pulled the skeleton out, and I really, what I would have liked to have done, because remember, I want to sell this house eventually, was take that skeleton, get a shovel, bury it in the yard. But being, at least what these people have saying, a pretty good citizen, I thought, oh, I can't do that. I got such a terrible conscience anyway, every little thing will bother me. So I thought, well, if I contact the Pulaski police, this is a small town, and my God, this will travel, and that'll be the end of this house. I'll have to live in it myself. I don't think LaVerne is going to live in it either after that. So I thought, oh, I wonder if I contacted the State Health Department in Madison, which is what I did. And I talked to them on the phone, explained the situation to them, that we were remodeling this house, and there was a skeleton inside the plaster, and we wanted to eventually sell it, and they were pretty good about it. They knew that whatever happened must have happened some time ago. So they came down and took the skeleton with them, didn't tell Pulaski anything about it, and actually I told only a few people, never got into the papers or anything like that. Well, actually, as it turned out, they gave me a call, and they said, that person was pretty famous. They were able to do some tracing with teeth, and it turns out that his name was John Yashewski, and he was the 1948 Polish Olympic hide-and-go-seek champion. One story I can tell without notes. I told it quite a few times. I told it once to one of these that Mr. Wigman and I went to the superintendent, and they just could not believe it that I really had them right up to their feet. There are so many of you already heard it at that chamber thing that makes a difference, I guess. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Second time around. Orville probably forgot it anyway. I should say that. It's always good to me. Orville was also one of the contributors, and Betty, I'm sorry. Betty actually wrote off the check to the Odyssey of the Mind when they made a drive to be able to get the team to Baltimore. So we thank them. And I'm sure there were others of you also. I want to just say thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Teaching was great. I loved it. However, after 33 and a third years, I wasn't real sure how much longer I would be going. And I don't think I would be retiring now. I think it might have happened a couple of years back. But I switched to community ed. At the time, I thought teaching and teaching math was the most important thing in the world. And one day I was teaching math on Friday. On Monday, I started working in community ed. At that point on, well, no, actually about 2 weeks later, because the first 2 weeks I thought I made a mistake. But within 2 weeks, I felt that I was now doing the most important job in the world. And I really believe in community ed, and I think it's super for a school district to have, as we're finding more and more school districts are joining the bandwagon. And I want to thank all of you for coming and for being a part of this. I'll never forget it. Thank you.
Now you can have your martini. Certainly I want to say thank all of you for coming. We wish you, Emil, again, a very long and happy retirement from all your friends. And thank all of you for coming. Have a safe trip home, and that concludes our program. And a final reminder, all the ladies with hats, where you want it, Becky? Against the curtain. If all the ladies with hats on will go against the curtain right now, you're going to get shot. Thank you.